Hello, you're listening to Malicious City Podcast with Melissa Goldsmith. Welcome everybody, this is Malicious City Podcast episode 5, and I'm so excited to have Tim Guest on the episode. We slowed down a little bit on this one, but we're picking it right back up and literally going to have a new episode every week until I've run out, and I still have more booked in, so I don't think we're going to run out anytime soon. So this episode was really fun. I was still learning about filming on, not Skype, on Zoom, and I'm finally using Riverside, which is really great, and I'm pretty happy with that now, and that's what I'm going to stick to. But anyway, talking to Tim Guest was awesome. He's in the Dominican Republic, and he's working on R.Loxley comic book. I'm so excited for him, and I really enjoyed our chat. I mean, literally, I think we talked for like almost 2 hours. This episode is like an hour long, but I learned so much, and I enjoy talking to like-minded people, so thank you again, Tim. And yeah, check out the episode. It's coming up right now. There. Yay! Hi, Tim. Sorry, I was leaning on my laptop. Cool. I think it's funny because like you're like this and I'm like this, but it's fun. It's kind of fun. It's like you're in a portal, so it's all good.
If I flip it, is that better?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's perfect. It's funny. When I edit the thing, I always add in all the stuff like the music and everything, and I never really go, "Welcome to Malicious City Podcast with my guest today. It's Tim Guest." Is that how you say your last name, Tim? Tim Guest?
Yeah, that's it.
Man, okay, cool.
Nothing strange.
No crazy pronunciation there. Excellent. All right.
No.
Well, yeah.
About that music at your podcast intro, I was like, "Oh, this is cute. I like this."
The intro music. You know what? I totally stole that from myself because my comic actually has a soundtrack, and I haven't released that song yet. It's actually being released July 1st, this Friday, and I haven't done any promos or anything on it. I have so much catching up to do, like work-wise, but that's like my favorite song. So I was like, "Oh, I'm going to use this for the intro for the podcast. Could be fun." I was going to ask if you would ever do music on your comic on R.Loxley.
I didn't think about doing that. It's like I only have one right now, and just like I have a friend who's a composer, and I was like, "Hey, can you do some music for my website?" And he's like, "I hate music on websites." I'm like, "Okay, maybe one," but you know what? We'll see. Like, I'm open to all possibilities.
It's kind of fun. So I did read that you are a screenwriter still. You're still doing the screenwriting stuff.
Not so much. When I came to Hollywood, I wanted to do correct, and things didn't pan out exactly as I wanted. I did a couple of documentaries, and that I'm still open to it, but I finally, how I got into it is, I have a number of screenplays, and it was actually my wife who encouraged me. She said, "Why don't you turn one of them into a graphic novel?" And I went, "Okay." So then I found somebody on Fiverr. She's like, "Go on Fiverr and find somebody." A gentleman by the name of Egan Shiner was doing adaptations from screenplay to comic books. I'm like, okay, so I paid him, and he did an adaptation, and then I had him do like 2 of them, I think 2 or 3, maybe at least 2. So R.Loxley was one of them, and an adaptation. So it's an adaptation of a screenplay that I wrote.
Cool.
So I just wanted. It was during COVID, when COVID started. It was like 2020.
January, February-ish, or March?
Yeah, probably more in the middle of the year of 2020, because I was doing other that year. I have a day job, which keeps me busy. But so anyway, I found Keegan, and he did the adaptation, and then, he did the whole thing as a graphic novel.
Sweet.
So it's 100 and 50 some odd pages or so. So then he gave me the name of an artist who wasn't on Fiverr, or who was, but I didn't see him on Fiverr. And so I said, here's a couple, I'll pay you to do a couple test pages. I paid a number of people on Fiverr to do test pages to see what the art would look like.
Yeah.
And then discover how long it would take to do a graphic novel, how expensive it was. I decided to release it as issues. So I don't know.
Yeah, it ain't no joke. It's expensive. I actually can relate. My first comic, I only have one too right now, actually. And it took me 10 years to make that thing because I was so determined to do everything myself. And finally, at the 9th hour, my husband's like, just hire someone to help you. And I'm like, oh, fine. So I finally gave in. And yeah, I went on Upwork and Fiverr, and I got someone to help me finish the color and to do all like the effects.
This is another topic of discussion, but get an attorney too, actually.
Okay. Yeah. I know a couple of entertainment lawyers. I should,
Yeah,
you know what? That's smart.
I'm fortunate that my wife and I can fund the comic. So, but not everybody has that luxury, and they need Kickstarter and things like that. I'm going to do Kickstarter just for the exposure and the extra money anyway. But
yeah, same.
Attorney, you'd be amazed, like a lot of little things, and we could talk about that later if you want.
Yeah, definitely, and for sure. And actually, wanted to ask you, like, to go way back and ask you, like, what was your childhood life like, and how did your culture and your family shape who you are?
Yeah.
And you're this kid. Were you playing with He-Man toys? Like, where did this all come from?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked that, actually, because I like talking about that. So I grew up on comic books and monster movies. I was, a chubby little kid that didn't go or want to go outside, or I was raised on comic books and monster movies. I remember first grade, like, had a Black Panther comic in my desk, looking through it, and like Miss Mona, my teacher's like, "What are you doing with that?" And like, luckily she didn't take it away.
Oh, thank God.
And I just remember he was like, his clothes were shredded and he's falling. There's like arrows and like that he could fall into all these stakes. I can't remember exactly. It was something to that effect. But yeah, so comic books and monster movies, and then, my heroes were, I liked Spider-Man and the Avengers and all that. And then as I got into adulthood, I kind of got out of it. It was more film and TV. So that's what brought me to Hollywood. Yeah. And then and then I was completely kind of out of comics. Then I went to, my wife and I went to Comic-Con in Long Beach. Probably, I don't know what, it was like 2016, maybe 2018. Wow. I was like,
a big gap there.
Yeah. No, it was actually my second Comic-Con.
Okay.
I went to San Francisco at some point. But anyway, that was kind of the start of it, and then like COVID hit, and I was like, what am I going to leave behind? I don't have any kids. We don't have any kids. And like, I would love to get something printed, left behind in this world, and like leave something that I created, that I had total ownership of, and I knew would be good.
It's your baby, essentially, like your
comics again. And now I'm like less interested in television and film and more interested in comics. I started reading again and buying stuff and buying all kinds of, because I sold a lot of my collection off, and then I started again. So, so that's kind of been, childhood.
Did you grow up here in LA? Are you from LA or?
So I'm from Connecticut, West Haven, Connecticut.
Northeast. Okay.
Yeah, like a working class town. And came out here in '94. I went to San Diego State to get my master's in film production. And then I've been out here since. I moved to LA in '98. So LA is my home. I'm not in LA now. I don't know if we spoke, but I'm in the Dominican Republic because my wife is a decorator TV show, so I came
Oh,
out here
wow.
to spend time. Yeah, so I've been living here in the DR for a month. I've been here like a month, and I was here a month previously. Anyway, but yeah, so that's so I got back into comics, and I just fell in love with them again.
Reignite the passion of childhood.
Anime and watching anime again.
Okay.
Like I used to like anime, so like I started getting into like and going back and watching like older anime. Like I was watching Project Echo and
Okay.
Outlanders and stuff from like the 80s. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just like,
The Ninja
so,
Turtles and Akira's.
yeah. I was I like that stuff too. But and you know,
North Star. Yeah, that's cool.
like Bebop, of course, which is like the greatest in terms as far as I'm concerned.
The
My
Cowboy
wife and
I'm sorry, it skipped for a sec.
yeah, Cowboy Bebop.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that's such a good one. My favorite character is always going to be Vicious. For sure. He's such a badass.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you went from the Northeast and you came to LA, and you're like, did you grow up in a small town and you're like, I'm leaving this behind. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah. It was time for me to go. It was my best friend who said, look, man, just take a stab, and a man to be perfect. You got to just take a leap. And, my mother, we had no money, and so everything was loans. So I came out here with nothing. I needed a car. My mother said, well, you got a life insurance policy. You got about $2,600 and I cashed that out, bought my first car out here.
Wow. That's like the American dream now, like just starting it all over and making shit happen.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm doing with the comic now. I'm just kind of starting over. But luckily we have some money and
it's not cheap. It's something I'm learning about, like even just going to like, WonderCon and all the cons, like everybody going out there, like printing stuff, getting stuff together, putting banners together, getting their table together. Like it's not cheap. So and flying out too. Like I met a guy who flew out from Texas. Like I was just like, wow, like this is a whole operation. And this is like their passion. Cause I think some of them have like other jobs and stuff. And it's incredible. Like people are so bold to like, I'm going to this Comic-Con, I'm getting my stuff out there. I want people to know about it. So
that's just it. And I love contact, and I even love like even mail order. I'm like, oh, I got a mail order. It's like fun to pack it and like send it off. It's just I get a kick out of it. Everything's
fun.
Like to have that print and people like appreciate it, the personal touch.
I like it. I saw your website. You wrote like, I'm gonna sign it. So if you don't tell me to sign it, it's gonna be signed. But that's really cool. It's like I like how you're leaving your mark on your book and everything. And then so where did R.Loxley even come from? I like the whole like essence of Robin Hood, but so storyline is very ass-kicking woman, like corrupted town. So where did that pull from?
So a couple things. So I was raised by my mother and sister, so women were like my heroes. Like they were my heroes growing up. I mean, looking back, I'm like, Jesus, they had nothing, And so R.Loxley, originally the original script is called Robin, and I wrote it like in 2010 or 2012, and it's basically was going to be just an actioneer, Robin Hood, present day female soldier, comes home from the war, finds her hometown overrun by a corrupt mayor, and the rest, that was also spawned from my work on a documentary on the Cuban Revolution. So it was called The Forgotten Revolution. It was on Netflix. It was on Netflix for a bit. You can see it. You can Google it. It's like it's on some PBS channels or streaming services as well. So I wrote a script for that.
Oh, okay.
And worked with the director on that. So the idea of revolution coupled with Robin Hood spawned Robin Hood. the title R.Loxley, talk about legal stuff.
Yeah.
I was going to call it Robin. Why did I call it Robin? And Donna, well, it hit me. My artist was like, you realize that there's a Robin character in DC. There, Batman and Robin.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and then
Damn it.
Yeah, so he told the attorney, he said, the problem is if you go to file the trademark, you could call her Robin in the story, but your trademark on the book itself, on the cover of the book, DC will, send you a cease and desist letter.
Yeah. Oh, nasty. Yeah.
For months, actually, it was like 2-3 months of the artist and I actually kicking around other titles with other people, trying to figure out what to title it. I mean, it was
it's
crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's frustrating because there's so many Robin Hood adaptations as well. It was actually the attorney. He said, maybe like R.Loxley or something. Okay. And I don't know, it dawned on me, I grew on me, and other people liked it a lot too. And it's kind of antithetical to the heroic, explosive.
Very heroic, yeah.
Kind of a I like counterpoint in film, when you have music that is kind of counterpoint to the tone of a scene. Stanley Kubrick was really good with that. But so that's how R.Loxley was born. And then in terms of the story itself, it's evolving into something much different than my original screenplay. And the characters in it, when Demetrius Stamadianos,
your artist,
my art, he was coming up with different characters for that. I would tell him, for example, I want this person to look like Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
Ripped that up and he drew something else. And I went, oh yeah, he drew a muscle bound guy as one of the, the leader, the bald guy that's in.
Yeah. Yes, I saw that. Okay.
Oh, I guess that's better, isn't it? It's just like, it's a comic now. So you just, your brain mechanism has to flip a different switch. And just working with Demetrius has been great because he's a real comic historian and fan. He really loves it, and he is an interesting story himself we could talk about. But
cool.
The story changed, and even issue 2 is going to be a lot different than 1. So it's going to all the story is going to be a little more fantastical, more sci-fi and tech.
Was it like that? Yeah. Okay. Was it originally like that in the screenplay when you wrote it?
Not at all. It was pure, just nuts and bolts kind of John Wick action
action.
Swartz
writing it. Then you're kind of reinventing it all.
Yeah. Keegan wrote a great adaptation, and it dawned on me. In talking with Demetrius, I said, I'm going to pay you. If I have to pay you to draw a Jeep, wouldn't it be cooler if you drew a spaceship? You know what I mean? So it's not going to have the same price.
Yeah.
To draw, a demon as even a person. So it's actually more fun to get into the more fantastic sci-fi kind of stuff, but it's not going to get that far afield from the original story, but it is going to have a lot more of those kind of elements in it in future issues. We're hoping to do 5 to 7 issues. So, so it just, the whole comic world opened up I'm going to pay him the same page rate to draw a Jeep as it will a spaceship. So why not draw, write stuff that has more interesting, wild fantasy element.
Just blow the visuals out of the water.
That's
for an expensive movie too. So why not?
No, I was the way I went about doing the first issue was probably the wrong way.
Process.
I was so stressed out because it was COVID. I was working. I worked for a major studio, so we were going through a transition and like leaving. It's just a crazy year, right? And then, but yeah, just certain things that I would have liked to have laid out more things in issue 1 that I did, but it's going to be fine. I'm very resourceful as a writer. I feel myself. That's one of my strong points. Like I can, sorry, there's a mosquito. I had to deal with it. But yeah. So,
that's awesome. I'm not a real writer. I guess I should say that. But I think did you go to school for writing? Is that where oh wait, you got a master's was it in film or?
So I have a couple. My first film was from San Diego State, which I got in the 90s.
Okay.
And then I went back to school in 2007. I have an MFA in screenwriting. And it was there that I learned really about story, about the fundamentals of screenplay. And I just carried a lot of that into comics. I mean, and there are some just basic fundamentals of story that, you could use in any literary medium, whether it's comics, novels. You have to have conflict, desire, passion,
the
things
one.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be interesting, and but you have to have certain beats that fall in certain moments, and you have a little more wiggle room with comics, because you can kind of do like thought balloons and things like that, and
you can tell a story in so many ways, which is fun.
So many different ways, and it's also, like in editing and film, like if you cut certain ways, you could really move the story along and shock an audience. The same with the pages. You may have a cliffhanger on each page almost, and you turn like, whoa, that art to that too. Demetrius is very, good with doing that as well.
Art form, laying out those panels perfectly so it flows nice and like carries the intent of the feeling of what you're trying to give off is so important.
Yeah, like a pleasurable read too. He really, the second issue I'm doing completely myself. It's a departure Keegan gave me, but then I go back a little too more into Keegan's in the third issue. But Demetrius, I generally just like let him have free reign. I say, look, because he's a brilliant artist, and I say,
the artwork's beautiful, by the way. I love the style. It's great.
Yeah, and I just let him have it. Like if he says, well, I want to do a 1-page or a 2-page, or I want to do 3 panels here, like, before issue 1, I had a 32-page limit because I was going to use Alterna's. I don't know if you know Alterna Comics.
Alterna, yeah.
So they had like a printing program, and it was really cheap, and it was newsprint. And in the end, I'm glad I didn't go with it because I use a higher quality paper for the book now. But it was a 32-page kind of, if you do it at 30 pages, if you do 32 pages, it's one particular price.
Yeah.
So we kept it to that. Now, I write the script, and he could do as many pages as he needs to fulfill the beats. Like if he wants to do 1-page splash here or there, like I said, don't worry about page count. Just gotta just fucking look good, and so
make it work. Who did you decide to go print with now then?
So I'm using Mixum, and I don't know if they're the best price or not, but I've gotten used to them, and they do a good job. And I've talked to other people who said that they're good, and I've talked to other people about the printing presses they're using. I'm not going to name any names or anything, but like they've been unsatisfied. Well, I'm not about ready to change printing right now, because every time I go, people always tell you, oh, it's cheaper here, and then I go and I look, and I'm like, well, it's not really. Save a few. Like, why? So, but
yeah, I feel you. I like the spine thing where it says it when it's on a bookshelf. And I printed with Comics Wellspring. Have you heard of them?
Yeah, I've heard of them, but I haven't like tried them or anything like that. Yeah.
I loved the production that they gave me, but the only thing I hate is the staple. I'm like, I don't want a fucking staple. I want the spine, but they won't do it unless it's 64 pages and up. And I'm like, I have mine was 44, and I'm like, so now I'm like, should I go 64 for the next one? It's not going to be that long. I think maybe when I have more, I can do the novel bit and then I can do the spine. So for now, I just do issues, bit like yourself. So it makes more sense for now.
Yeah. I mean, also too, like for me, my book's only $5, and
Wait,
I'm not
36 pages, 32 pages.
32 pages. Yeah, and the next one, we'll see. But I'm not trying to make my rent with this stuff right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's point, but right now it's just gotta look great. It's got people gotta, the last I did the show in Ontario, and a woman bought it. She had her kids with her, and she's like, bought it. And then like about an hour later, she pulled me aside out. I was on the hall just going to get coffee.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I read it while my kids were in the restroom, and I was like, this is really good. I'm like, oh, thank you. Yeah, I hope it's like cool. Stuff like that just like helps me out. Like it really does.
Yeah, because you want to connect with somebody in the audience world, like absolutely. I was gonna say that I don't know if you heard the episode 3 with Mia Bunn, but like I don't know if I put it in the episode, but she like straight up told me like, you need to charge more money for your comics, because she's like, yours is over 40 pages. She's like, you don't feel shy to charge more money for that, because that's more story, more, you're getting more. And I know usually like issues are like 25 and under, I think. So just saying, if you wanted to bump the price up a little bit, don't feel bad about it. Because I don't think people mind paying a little more nowadays, because it's like, shoot, I mean, if you really think about it, how long did it take you to write that, and you put your heart and soul into it, and then you have to hire an artist, and then you have to get it colored, and then you have to print it, and then like really like it should be the cost of like what a DVD was, like $20 or whatever, a movie ticket, but because it's printed, it's and even I went online, I'm like, God, everyone's charging $3.99 for a digital copy, and then I was doing that, and then I went back and I actually charge $5 now for the digital copy. But physical copies now, I went up to 10, and I have a hollow chrome cover, and I go 20 on that one because it's an expensive print. It's like iridescent. But yeah, I'm like, I'm learning.
No, I am too. And, I am too, but I don't know. I feel like we'll see. I don't know if I'm learning.
It's what you feel comfortable with too, because even at my table, my friend that came to help me out, she was telling me to go a little higher on the stuff, and I'm like, okay, let's try it out. And no one complained. I went up $3. I was selling it for I went up $2. I was selling it for 6, and I went up to 8, and no one said anything. I think they're more excited to talk to you and like learn about it. And then like, as long as you don't go like, $50, then yeah, I don't think they'll really mind, because they're supporting you and they know that, and they know it's going to someone who worked hard on their product,
Yeah, I'll think about it, yeah, I mean, issue 2 is probably going to be more pages, so then I could say, oh, it's more pages, so it's a little more expensive, and then maybe move it up a little more than I should. We'll see.
Why not? Food for
my other I have a second story in the works, a second series. So the first issue of that maybe 40 pages. So that may cost more. We'll see.
Depending what Demetrius does, right?
Well, he's actually not going to do that one. He's not doing the second one.
Oh, really? Okay. Who's doing the second one?
So a gentleman by the name of Luigi Turiel.
You got all the Italian guys, or is Demetrius?
So Demetrius is from Greece, and Luigi from the Philippines. But
okay.
Luigi. Yeah, the stereotype is that the Luigi is an Italian name, but yeah, he's
true.
yeah. So I'll give you a story. My name is Timothy Guest, right?
Yeah.
So, but I Guest is my sister's father's last name.
Ah.
My mother thought Timothy Craig Guest was exotic because she's. So I'm actually all Italian American. I'm 100% Italian.
Okay, cool. What was your original name?
What's that?
What was your original name?
So my dad's last name, they weren't married. But my dad's last name was Elmo. My mother's maiden name was Belly. So, but I took my sister's father's last name. He was a cool guy, my sister's father. The only one that.
That's cool. Yeah. I'm raised by my sister's dad too. And
okay.
I confuse people because he's Egyptian. And I say, yeah, my dad's Egyptian. And they're like, oh, I'm like, no, I'm not Egyptian.
Yeah.
I totally know that culture though, because I grew up with it. So I guess I kind of am Egyptian. I don't know, but that's cool. No, I hear you on that. Yeah, of course it's different for women because my original name was Caballero, which is super Latina, but my last name now is Goldspink, which is very different.
Not Latinx at all.
Not at all, but I like it because it's more original. But I like Tim Guest. It fits for I think it's a cool name.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's been my name. I have no reason to change it. So
yeah, exactly.
But actually, there were times when since I've been married 22 years. In fact, I talked about it.
Did you think of taking your wife's name?
No, and she didn't take mine, and I was cool with that. We thought about but we kick it around. But yeah, I like my wife likes her name, and I like it too, and my name's fine. And
what's her name?
Naya Petrinos.
Oh, cool. Is she Italian or Greek?
No, actually, she's her last name is Greek. She's Black, Greek, and Jewish, and Ukrainian.
Okay. Wow, that's exotic there, right? That's exotic.
But her dad was Greek, and some of the things too. You're Romanian, Ukrainian, and Petrinos is actually it's derived from another name. So came over, they changed it to Petrinos. I think that's how the story goes. I forget. She told me and I forgot already.
I'm sure if she was there, she'd tell me the whole story. Well, hopefully we can do another episode with you because I'd love to see what the next comic's going to look like. And maybe if you wanted to, you could even have your artist on too. Totally up to you.
Yeah, I asked Demetrius if he wanted to do this, and he politely declined. He didn't know.
Yeah, that's okay. Speaking of projects, I saw on your site, what's Alt and Spec?
Aha.
Sci-fi epic series. And then you also have something called The Kicker, and you have and When the Sleeper Awakes. What an HG novel. So you are already thinking after R.Loxley, huh?
Yeah, so Alt and Spec will probably not probably, but when we're done with R.Loxley, Alt and Spec will be next for Demetrius and I, unless he goes on to something else, if he gets hired by Marvel or DC or something.
His fingers are crossed. Hey, you never know. Tim Guest might be the next big thing, and he's going to be dying to work with you.
We'll see. But so yeah, Alt and Spec is a sci-fi epic that he would work on with me on, or if, like I said, we'll get another artist. But the second story that Luigi's working on is Spec and Ula. So it's another. So that I haven't put it up on the website yet, and I should actually. Yeah. But Spec and Ula is in the work. So Spec is the same character, but paired up with somebody else. So that story is about. So Spec is an alien. He's from another, world, and the backstory is that his race. Divisions and humans, the Earthlings, us, were at a war. They went to war, and then the war ended, and then there was a time of peace, and Spec is like an agent and a negotiator,
Okay.
and Ula is a military general, and the two of them were negotiators in terms of the terms of peace after the war ended. But they suddenly, en route to a celebration of peace, they're on a ship, and the ship gets caught into some kind of mysterious cosmic thing, and they get sent off to another galaxy. So it's the two lost in space in another galaxy. On a ship. So, and they're trying to get home. They don't know where they are. They can't figure out how they got where they are or how to get home.
Hell of an odyssey.
Yeah, so it's the two of them. So she's like, so I characterize her as, what if Beyonce was a military general? That's kind of her, Ula. And then Spec is more of a Spock type, very calculating and logical. And, we're going to do this instead of doing that. And so the two of them are going to have adventures. So I kind of modeled that after I don't know if you've seen the original Star Trek, but every episode was kind of standalone. It just had the hour is what we call in screenwriting.
Yeah, a lot of them are like that, I think. Even like Enterprise and
right.
Space. They all kind of their episodes kind of stand alone a bit if you didn't see the series.
So that's what I want to do with this. With Loxley, you have to keep reading the next section because it's a while for me to produce something. I wanted to have a series where every issue kind of stood alone. Yeah, they have an ongoing mission, but each story will be complete. So the way you could buy it and have pleasure and not go, Jesus, when's the next issue? Because running after Loxley. So I have a serial story and then a story that every issue can't stand alone with
the endless adventures. I like it.
Yeah. So Alton Spec will be next. It'll be like a spin-off of that series, or they're both kind of, so it'll be different timelines in Spec. And the kicker is that's something I might launch too. We'll see. I haven't found an artist yet. I've been thinking about it, but the kicker is a football kicker who misses a field goal that would have sent his team to the playoffs. So that was a screenplay I wrote.
Okay.
That Keegan. So it's what happened. So he misses the field goal. And he has all this media on him, people giving death threats. So he turns to alcoholism. He becomes a drunk, and he separates from his wife and kid. So the story is about his journey back. Like another team signs him on. So it's the journey back, and he meets a yoga instructor, and they have a relationship, and she kind of helps him get his head together. So it's kind of a yoga and football kind of story. So,
that's cool.
So the other project is I'm thinking about an adaptation of an H.G. Wells story called When the Sleeper Awakes. So that's in the public domain. So that's why I decided to adapt. And it's an interesting story. The original story is about a guy who wakes up from a long coma. Yeah. And he finds that he owns the entire planet. So that's kind of the premise. It's just that story too has this kind of revolutionary aspect to it. It has the workers versus the kind of conservative right, and then workers take over, but then it turns out that the workers' party is no better, and so it's just kind of this political thing. So that I started working on it, but it's we'll see if it's going to move forward or not. But
you should. That's cool.
Yeah.
You're planning ahead. I do that too, but I haven't said anything about any of that stuff because I don't know. I guess I'm trying to finish the first one, but I always daydream about all the other projects that are looming over my head. So I
Yeah.
totally respect that. I like that. That's cool. Did you on your site, did you have artwork and stuff for these or not yet? You're still like,
Yeah. Not yet. I kind of want to get further. I'm gonna post about Spec and Ula. Put
yeah.
up that. I want Luigi to get further along before I do that, so that it's not, but I want him to get further along, and then we'll start, doing publicity, hey, and on Instagram, and I hope to have it this year, the first issue by the end of the year, and then R.Loxley 2, Dimitri's going to start drawing like in a week. So the script is ready for the second issue. So he's going to, read it, I'm sure, and give me gently ruthless criticism.
That's cool. I like that. I don't know if when I worked with my guys, they don't really give me any feedback. In fact, I should probably ask them, what did you think of the comic?
Oh, yeah. No, press them for it. They may
have ideas. Yeah, kind of would be cool.
Luigi, not so much, but he will if I press him, and and I give him notes. I recommend anything you write, find somebody to read it and give you notes. I have a couple ringers that I use myself.
Okay. Maybe I'll send it to you, Tim, because you're an official writer. If you're interested, because like I told you, I'm not, but I have a hell of an imagination like yourself. So it's kind of funny to see what other people think. And I'm so bad. Like I don't know if I'm greedy or if I'm scared, but like working with people, like actually the last podcast episode I did, there's actually 4 people included, like working together on the comic. And I'm like, wow, like that's incredible that you guys all like, put your hands together for this thing, because me, I'm like, I've got this. I'm going to do the ink. I'm going to do the drawing. I'm going to do the coloring. I'm like, and then I realized it's a lot of work. And even my husband's like, you can't do this alone. Like you have to.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have, and you don't need a lot. Like I don't have a lot of readers, I have a couple, and I have one really good one that's like, live longer than me, please.
Yeah.
And he's a screenwriter himself. His name is Stephen Wolf. He's also working on a novel, and he's freaking brilliant. And we collaborated on stuff, and who knows, down the road we may again. But yeah, so he's one of my guys. And yeah, you know what? Just when you write, make sure there's conflict on every page, or if it's reveal character, it should reveal character, should have conflicts, desire. Everybody should want something. Glass of water. Make sure it's your dialogue isn't too on the nose.
Yeah, I actually found myself writing more dialogue because I did hire somebody to read it, and he made some good points. And I guess I was thinking, well, I know the characters and I know what they're thinking and I know what's going on. But if I didn't know anything, I would want to know more. Like, what is he thinking about? What's happening here? Is there a little like more dialogue? So I actually wrote in a hell of a lot more dialogue, and almost in a comical sense. But I don't know. Yeah, it's good. I'm still learning, and you're right. I'll definitely have more people read it because I already wrote the second script for my second one, and I've already started working on the art. And I'm actually now thinking maybe I should have it read first in case I make changes again. So
yeah, I definitely would. And you know what? When you be kind to yourself. Like I learned to be kind to myself. One day I woke up in a panic, like, oh shit, I forgot this little thing. And I'm like, oh wow, what if that went to print? I'm like, no, what?
Yeah.
Like, so like be kind to yourself too. Like realize, trust your instincts for sure. But when it gets to when they draw it, you'll really like, oh, that's not right, or I want to change that.
Yeah.
When it's on a printed page or when it's drawn, that's when you really start to, your brain will kick in and go, uh-oh, and you'll see. So, be kind to yourself and don't worry that, like if you're in the early stages of the draft, and you've gotten notes and you feel like you're ready to go, and he's starting to, he or she or yourself are starting to draw, and you might be like, oh, wait a minute. That should be there out there. Hey, that's another thing too. Really, are you drawing yourself?
Yeah, I am. Although in the second one, I'm thinking I'm going to allow some help for the drawing because I don't want it to take another 10 years, you know? So yeah, for sure. I'm going to be more lenient on that stuff because, you know, I wanted to like, oh, I did everything, but now I'm like, who cares? Like, just get the story out there because I have so many other projects, you know, like yourself that I want to do, and I don't want to wait around too long. Time is of the essence. Let's get it out there, you know?
I mean, I don't, you know,
Tough.
Figure out what you're good at. I learned that late in life, but figure out what you're good at, and that's what you know.
Well, yeah, my like just producer.
Yeah, help the other stuff, and you know, maybe it won't take 10 years. You know.
Yeah, I know. I always joke about that. I mean, sure, life happens. You get insecure, or you put it up on the shelf for a while, and then you go back to it. And I think I'm happy I went back. I mean, good for you, by the way. For getting yours done so quickly. I mean, COVID only happened a couple of years ago, and you've already got yours there, and your second one's on.
I'm not happy. I was hoping to be further along. We
doing great.
But no, I thank you. I appreciate that.
On yourself. You just said that.
What's that?
Yeah, I said don't be hard on yourself. You just said that.
True. Yeah.
Right?
So, yeah.
We got to take our own advice sometimes.
No.
Yeah. Well, so tell me, I know you're a screenwriter, and I know R.Loxley was originally a screenplay, but like, would you adapt it to a TV series or a film or anything like that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, anything I make can be, you know, can be made into a TV.
Yeah.
I mean,
or even a video game. Would you do that? Would you be up for?
If somebody wants to pay me to do whatever, or pay me to buy the rights, sure. You know, but I'm not right now. I'm getting it out there, and you know, if it hits that
threshold, yeah.
If it makes it out there where people are interested in that, sure, I'd be totally open to that. And you know, they will have to pay me a lot.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to let it go for a song. I mean, that's for sure.
No.
I work distribution, so I just know how much these properties can bring in, and so yeah, I would want to be well compensated and things like that, and you know, either be hired on as the person making it or not. It wouldn't bother me because to me, working on the comic, getting it printed, working with the artist, these things fill my soul.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's got to fill my, like what I'm doing now is got to fill my soul, fill my desires.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm going to make it my way. And Demetrius and I, you know, we argue. You know, he's like, "Why don't we do this? Why are you doing this?" Like, because that's how I want to do it.
Yeah.
Frank, I don't know if you know, Frank,
man. Yeah.
You know who Frank is, right?
What was that?
You know who Frank Zappa is, right?
God, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's a musician. Look him up. You like music? Frank Zappa was a rock jazz fusion artist, a mothers of invention. People asked him, you know, why don't you make popular music? Like, you know, because he could. He wrote something called Valley Girl, which was kind of, it. And he's like,
okay.
And he said, I'm going to make the stuff that I like. And if people like it, great. And if not, oh, well, you know, that was his attitude. He wasn't trying to
impress everybody.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to impress anybody. And sometimes when you try to do that, that's when you might fall short. I mean, what people are going to like tomorrow, 5 years, 2 months from now.
Yeah, I totally agree with him. That's my motto. Like, my comic I made for me. Like I made it because I love it, you know, and I hope everybody else is like that, but I also get that maybe some people want to fill certain audiences wants. So I don't know. I guess whatever works.
I mean, I liked your comic. I read it months ago. I didn't bring it with me, so I couldn't read it again. But I liked it because you had, kind of a multiverse, different timeline kind of thing going, and
yeah.
it has the commercial value. It's what people are looking at now. Just keep going, and keep going if it like continues to fill you. If it becomes like a chore, let it the frig go. Life's too short. You only have so many.
Life is too short. Yeah. And like you want to leave some kind of legacy behind, forever on this planet. R.Loxley will exist, and Davidian will exist. So it's kind of fun.
There's a great TV show. I forgot what platform it's on. God, it's an HBO Max, but Station 11.
Paramount Plus, one of those.
Yeah. But Station 11 is really a good show. And one of the characters in it, I won't even tell you what it's about, but one of the characters in it is a person like us, just writing and drawing a graphic novel. And drew it, and people were asking her, why did you do it? Like, it's not making any money. And I think that's what they asked, but they basically asked her why she was doing it. And she said, because it makes me feel good.
Aww.
And that's the thing about doing this for me, is like, it makes me feel good. I mean, do I want it to be successful? Sure. I would love some status. I would love to get in more people's hands. Sure. I'd love for it to become
massive.
Tapped into another medium, but right now it feels great right where I'm at with it too.
Yeah, I agree. It's like playing a guitar and some music. I mean, you just like doing it.
Yeah.
Feels the soul.
I can't play anything, so.
Me neither. Drawing and writing is all I can do.
Those are two.
Yeah, and be a mom apparently as well now. But yeah, I know, I feel you. That's good. Well, what was I going to ask you? The Comic-Con. I mean, how many have you done now? And what was your first table like? And how has the community reacted? Although you did tell me that lady that came back to tell you that she really liked it. I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. She read it, outside the restroom waiting for her kids. I got to kick up, very slow life kind of thing. It's just, I'll always remember that. First Comic-Con was Pasadena this year.
Okay.
It was, and it went okay. It was my first, and it went okay. It was my first, and it, I was.
What's happening?
It was a little grumpy, I felt like, it's not doing as well. I'm not selling as many. But I went, it's my first. I only have one comic. Nobody knows me. So,
yeah.
And then I did Simi Valley Toy and Comic, which I liked a lot because it was small. And there was only a couple comics people there. There was a lot of toys, a lot of vendors, but not too many indies. There was only a couple, me included. So I did pretty well there, and I met some cool people. So yeah, I did that. I did. I love doing them, by the way, and I miss them when they're done. Even though I don't.
How often do you go? It sounds like you're already getting them all going.
Yeah, so I did Simi, Pasadena. I did WonderCon. I did Ontario. I feel like I'm missing one. I think I'm gonna do Long Beach.
Okay.
But I also did some in-store signings. I did a Comic Bug. The Comic Bug has been great. They had me do their Culver City and their Manhattan Beach locations the same day.
Wow. So you're in the shops then?
Yeah, I'm in some LA shops. How
did you do that? Did you have to get distribution, or did you just go in and say?
I did it all myself, and I walked in and I said, "Hey, indie." The worst they could say is no, sorry. Until you leave. Okay.
Yeah.
trying to rob.
That's cool. So they were like inviting, and they're like, "Yeah, give us your stuff," and they've had you do signings. That's really fun.
Yeah, a couple of them I did. I also did Golden Apple. I did Golden Apple and 2 comic books. I haven't done. I want to do some more in stores if I can arrange them, and I'm just going to keep trying. It's a lot of stores in LA, so I'm in like 5-6 stores. Like I said, if they don't do a signing, sometimes they just buy like 3 or 5 books, 3 or 5 books. Excuse me. And sometimes I just break even on, what they, I just wanted to get it out there. So I'm not trying to
That's how I felt. Yeah. I'm like, I don't care if I make anything. I just want to talk to people and see what they think.
I'm also in a store. I'm in a couple. It's funny. My wife and I, we like to go up the coast, the California coast. So I'm in a store. I'm in 2 stores in San Luis Obispo, and then another store in Santa Barbara.
Cool.
So I'm trying to I'd like to widen the distribution. So we'll see.
Keep a box in the trunk. What do you carry them around, or?
Yeah, that's what I was doing when I initially. I'm in.
Let's go on a road trip. Let's stop at a few comic shops and leave some books out.
You know what's funny is I thought about, and who knows, I still might, like getting a van and driving around the country with them. Maybe when I get a few more issues done, and just do like a YouTube thing. Van life.
Yeah, Tim Guest tours USA for Self-Tara Comics. That's a great idea. I mean, that's what musicians do. They just get in the van and they go and they perform. But we go to stores and we drop off our books to see what happens.
We might do it. I mean, my wife and I would probably get, hotels and motels. We wouldn't live in the van.
Do it. That's so cool. Please, like make it a show or some kind. I think that'd be awesome.
We're too bourgeois to live in the van. So, but
glamping, then do a glamping van or something.
We'll just Motel 6 it and stuff. But so anyway, yeah, I thought about doing that too. But yeah, I'd like to widen the distribution. It's have it up on eBay. I have an Etsy store. I have you can buy it directly from the website, and then I'm in some stores in LA. Yeah.
Okay. You've encouraged me now to try that because I have not tried that at all. I'm like,
great, and there's a ton of stores.
Yeah.
I'm also in a store in Palm Springs called Rated Comics, and the guy was cool. I met him at a WonderCon, and he had a huge vendor table, and I went to him and I was like, hey, he was nice to me, interested, and he bought a stack of them, and he's selling them on his website and at his store. I might do an in-store signing with him when I get back to LA. So I gotta,
Oh my God, that's awesome. Okay.
Just
feeling motivated.
Yeah,
yeah.
Just to increase the exposure, and do for signings if you can, and just you have it. It's the in-store signing piece is tricky. You have to kind of talk to the owner. It's great if you just walk in there with it, with a couple, so you can leave them behind. And but
I like that. I've even thought actually when I first started this podcast, I wanted to interview comic book store owners too, because clearly there's a passion. I mean, it's got to be a lot of work. You're leasing something. You have probably some like gems in your store that you're super proud of, like just to kind of find out about that side of the business too is kind of interesting to me.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't tried to do that myself, I'm not, but give it a shot. I mean, be nice. You're nice. I mean, so I just
I try. It's a small community. We might as well be nice to each other, right?
It's very community-like. I really like that.
Really is.
To help people out.
I agree. Even the last lady I spoke to too, I was like, sometimes I think we need someone to manage us to like keep us going because there's so much work that needs to get done and you got to time manage everything. And like, that was one of my questions actually. Like, if you have another job, like how are you time managing and setting time aside? I mean, like, are you learning to do that, or is it difficult? Or is it easy?
The marketing aspect could use some help and work. I'm just not, I don't have that skill set.
You TikToking?
Like my job is administrative, so I am good in terms of that. But and also I still have the one book. I think I'll like do a Kickstarter soon.
Yeah.
One of the other books, issue 2 is like in the really getting going, and then the new series, the first issue of the new series getting going. I'll start doing some more marketing, and then apparently there are people that you can buy that you hire to do your Kickstarter and things like that. I'd probably do that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, I know you can hire someone to help you with their social media stuff, but I didn't know you could hire someone to help you do a Kickstarter. That's interesting. I
think somebody told me that, and I bet you if you looked on Fiverr, you could find it. But
True.
Sometimes somebody, the director on the Cuban Revolution documentary I did, that guy, his name is Glenn Gebhard. He taught at LMU, or teaches at LMU still, I think. I'm due to call him again, but he told me, he said, when he gets his film and he's about to go in the editing studio, he's scared. He's like frightened. Because he has all this stuff and he's just got to get. And he said, I just got to start. You just have to start. Same with writing. Just start.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this thing is like a mess. I got to do all that.
The mass task. It's so much to do.
Just have to start. So that's, for me, I don't think about the time so much. I just, I don't know. I just do it. And that's sometimes I just like, I finished work. I had a couple hours before you and I spoke, and I just watched WNBA. I like the LA Sparks, so I just watched the women's basketball before.
That's hilarious. That's good.
I'm so kind to myself. I don't feel like writing today, but sometimes I need a muse or inspiration. Producer musician Brian Eno. There's this black box of cards that he sells, and you pick a card when you're stuck as an artist. You pick a card, and it has all these random quotes. Think in reverse, or what if it were a lampshade? Just like random shit. And I forgot what it's called, but if you type Brian Eno quotes black box, I forgot what it's called, but I'll dig through it once in a while. Just random quotes just to help me get through. Like, oh yeah,
the juice is going again. That's very interesting.
And creativity comes in just different. Like if I really try to think about things, if I'm at sometimes I think of things just doing dishes. Like before I start to write, I'll do my dishes, I'll do laundry, I'll fix, like I'll clean that, like straighten shit out.
Mm-hmm.
And, if I just, I tell you, as a writer, as a creator, you just got to start, and don't worry that, oh my God, what if it's not perfect? It's not great. Just do it. There's going to be moments of greatness and moments of mediocrity and moments of boredom, and it'll work out.
It'll tie it up together. It'll come together somehow. As it's yeah. Excellent advice. Yeah, I actually this is kind of funny. I have Tony Robbins audio tapes things, and it's really taught me a lot about getting stuff done and like focusing my mind and like making time for myself and like all this stuff. And it's been so good, but it's also, I think I need it because I am a new mom. Like I have a 2.5-year-old and I have an 8-week baby. So I'm like, when the fuck do I have time? Yeah. And like, I was just talking to my dad on the phone today, and I feel guilty because like, I don't even think he knew I had a comic book or even doing this podcast. And I actually told him about it. And I'm like, yeah, Dad, I got to find time because, I have a podcast episode I'm recording today. And he's like, huh? And he's like, how do you have time for all this stuff? And I'm like, I don't know. You just find it. Like you said, you just do it. You just
do it.
Or you won't get anything done and you won't feel good about it, because then you'll just beat yourself up later. Like, oh, why didn't I do this? Yeah.
Well, and you give it to a busy person, and you just have to like you say, you just have to start, art comes from good art. Great art comes from constrained places,
Yeah, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't start or finish. I really feel you on that.
I've got to just, as I said, I have a full-time job. I am married. We spend time together. Like we do some yoga.
You have to delegate time to your wife.
Yeah.
Which is a job. That's a job.
Great. She's busy too. So, but she's 100% behind me.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
Now that you finished the first comic and now that you're on a roll here, is there anything that you wish you knew when you started this to kind of like help yourself out a bit?
Go get advice from people who have done it.
There you go.
I'm kind of shy and kind of a bull in terms of like, because I've had so many years of screenwriting classes and people give me advice. And on this, I said, fuck it. And I really winged it, got the guy on Fiverr. But
it sounds like you did it right. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if there's any right way. Art, as I was saying, art comes from constrained places. It comes from a little bit pain and discomfort and tragedy. I still have to work. So I don't have time 100%, and I don't have millions of dollars for a huge marketing campaign or to be able to pay 5 more artists to do, or even spend time really working the Kickstarter, whatever that is. I don't even know what that is yet. So art comes from constrained places. You're a mom and you got a lot going on, and you're trying to make it happen. So you just I don't even think about sleeping or that or anything like that. I mean, you're younger than I am, it seems, but so I don't even think about that either. I don't even think about to get this going. A lot of young people are doing it. No, I see a lot of people my age and less.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if that answers the question. Get advice. Don't do it like I did. Get more advice. Pay for help where you can afford it. And you know what? The most important thing is that your script is ready. You really like doing it. It's what you want to do. That you understand the medium and what its capability.
Yeah, the writing's got to be there, or else it'll all fall apart.
Yeah, make sure that it's a story you want to tell still, that you feel excited about. Like my wife said, why don't you do this one or that? Remember that one we read like 20 years ago? Like, yeah, well, I don't know. I have to feel excited about it. I have to feel good about it. Like I cannot just do it to do it. I have to feel good about the story. And if I wake up in the morning and can't wait to fucking start writing it, then there's a problem.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. That's the advice. Make sure your story's ready and you're really passionate about it. And then the rest, no matter what advice you get, you're going to make mistakes and things are going to like, oh, fuck, I fucked up that panel. And so.
Well, yeah, no, that's awesome. So what's planned for the rest of this year? And then do you have any goals coming up for 2023, like the next phase, if you will?
I hope to have issue 2 finished, printed, ready to go. Of R.Loxley, issue 1 of Spec and Ula, finished, printed, ready to go. Well before the year ends. That is my goal.
Well, thanks again for being on Malicious City podcast and talking to me and teaching me, because really, this podcast is a learning experience for me. And I think in the future, I really hope that others find value as much as I do learning from you and, peers and community across the board. And I'm excited to keep interviewing people, and even in other creatives, like I told you, like the comic book shop owners, and even people who work in film and TV. It's just I actually want to interview a composer, because there's a whole creative process in all of this, and it's something I'm interested in. So lots of I'm trying to get ahead of the game a little bit, because I feel like I'm so behind, but it's all good. Thanks again so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Dankeschön. Oh, one more thing. Do you love comic books? Are you excited to meet some comic book creators? Malicious City Podcast has transformed itself into CityCon, our all-new live action event. It is a fun, sexy nightclub feel. We dress up in cosplay, we drink and draw, we have a good time. We have live DJs, live music, and there's a creators panel. Go to our website, maliciouscity.com, or check citycon.live for tickets. It's a great time, so definitely join the community for comic creators and fans alike in a city near you. We'll see you there.